Good morning and welcome to our charity yoga class in aid of Age UK. Thanks for joining me. Sorry, I'll just turn my speaker down. Oh, no, that's up. So today's class is a guided practice. It's going to be aimed at the older age group. So those of you with more experience, you'll be doing the classical versions of the poses to your level, but I'll be showing some modifications. Seeing as it's in aid of Age UK, I thought I would show how to modify the poses a little bit. Let me just check to see that the sound is working. Thank you, Farzana. Yes. I'm using a software so I can see the chats come up. So feel free to send messages as we go, well, not as we go along, but if you've got any questions, let me know. And just a health and safety tip, because some of you I don't know are attending because it's a public event. So take this at your own pace. Don't do anything you're not familiar with. And if you've got any questions, as I say, you can email me afterwards. So we'll start with the invocation to Patanjali. So we'll sit. And if you can't sit on the floor, sit on a chair. That's why I asked some of you to get the chairs ready. I'll be showing some poses with the chair. And make sure that you're sitting straight. So lift the spine up. If you're sitting cross-legged, see that the shin bones are crossed at the center and that your knees are as level with your hips as possible. Place your hands down beside you, whether you're on the chair or on the floor, and lift yourself up. And then we'll bring the palms together in front of the chest. Now we chant the invocation to Patanjali traditionally at the beginning of every class or our practice, sorry. And it's not a religious chant, it's a shloka or an offering to the Patanjali, the ancient sage who provided us with the philosophy for our practice, the Yoga Sutras. So just close the eyes and draw your senses inwards. Relax the muscles of the face. Relax the skin over the shoulders. But feel that with that softness there's also an internal strength, a lift of the body, so that the mind can rest composed and quiet, ready for our practice. And feel free to join with me. I start with 3 Om sounds, then I sing the invocation. Just sit and listen if you are not familiar with it, and focus on your breath. Om. Yogena citasya padena vacham malam sharirasya javaidyakena yopa karotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankachakra siddharinam Sahasra shirasam svetam pranamami patanjalim Hari Om. And then lifting the chest higher, take the head down towards the heart, surrendering the head towards the heart. And then release the hands, raise the head, open the eyes, and extend your legs forwards. Okay, so if you're still sitting in your chair, stay sitting in your chair, and the rest of you, change the cross of your legs. Change the cross of your legs. We're just going to take the arms forwards, and if you're able to, interlock your fingers. If you're not able to interlock your fingers because of arthritis or what have you, you can hold a belt, or you can hook the thumbs, or just keep the hands apart. Turn the palms away and take the arms up for Badangilyasana, bound fingers pose. Bada means bound. So we're stretching the body up, lifting out of the hips, press the palms towards the ceiling. And then bring the arms down, palms facing inwards again, facing towards you. And if you look at and see which finger's on top, move the other hand over so that the other first finger's on top, and repeat. Extend the arms forwards, lift the arms up, stretch up, press the palms to the ceiling. Feel that how the arms help the back muscles to lift and broaden. And in that way, you create space in the lumbar and take the pressure off the pelvis. Okay, and then bring the arms down and release and stretch out your legs. Now we're going to come to standing. So come up off the floor. And if you have a belt, you might need a belt for some of the arm work. If you don't have a belt, don't worry. Everything's going to be modified, as I say, because there's some of you out there I don't know. So I'm not going to assume that you have lots of props or anything like that. But if you are slightly unstable in your legs, if you have balance issues or you're very stiff or you have a lower back problem, have a chair handy because we're going to use a chair later on. All right, just have your feet either to get all the way together or a little bit apart. If you need the wall for balance, go near the wall and put your fingertips against the wall so you know that the wall's there in case you need to lean back on it. All right? Are you listening, Mum? That's for you. Okay, I know she's with us today. So have your feet together or a little bit apart, and we're going to take the first pose, Tadasana, stretching the arms down. So like when you were seated, feel that lift of the spine away from the pelvis, but now you've got the help of the legs to make even more impact. So press your thighs back, squeeze your legs together, feel the weight even in the feet. And then we'll take some arm work now. So take the arms out to the side. Extend through the fingertips. So don't have floppy hands. Extend through the fingertips. Extend from the inner armpit through the upper arm, into the elbow, into the forearm, into the wrist, into the fingers, all the way along. Then, if you can, turn the palms forwards and then turn the palms towards the ceiling. Those of you that can bring the arms up all the way, bring the arms up, but keep the arms straight. Don't bend the elbows to get the hands together. Those of you that are stiffer, just go to where you can manage the pose. The rest of you, if you can bring the arms all the way in and bring the palms together, go ahead and bring the palms together, but don't bend the elbows. Keep the arms straight. So you have to use your back muscles. You also have to use your leg muscles, so those thighs pressing back, tailbone pressing forwards. And then bring the arms out, palms facing down, arms all the way down, roll the shoulders back. Let's just repeat that, but this time take the arms forwards. Some of the shoulder issues, you need to keep the arms out to the side and go up that way. But otherwise, we're going to bring the arms forwards now. So palms facing each other, thighs pressing back. Inhale, go all the way up and stretch up. Lift up from the base of the pelvis. So all the way from the pubic bone, feel that ascending on the front body and that broadening on the back body as you press your thighs back. Bring the arms down. Stretch to the fingertips, Tadasana. One more like that. So if you're able to interlock the fingers again, we're going to repeat this Badangilyasana pose. So interlock the fingers, or you can hold your belt or dressing gown cord or something like that, or even just a normal belt. Okay, interlock the fingers, turn the palms, Badangilyasana. Press the palms to the ceiling. And try not to swing the hips forwards and arc the back. You've got to keep the lower back broad. It has a natural curve, but you don't want to overdo. So those front ribs have to draw back, thighs back. See if you can bring the arms a little further back maybe, but watch that the head doesn't push forwards. Arms down, change the interlocks and move the fingers over one. Extend the arms forwards and up, lift up. Again, check the head hasn't dropped in. So lift the chin slightly, as if you're trying to see up over the wall. And especially if your device is lower than eye level, you've got to watch that when we're doing all this online stuff, that you don't become a slave to the screen. So you get that text neck. You've got to keep the back of the neck long, front of the throat open. Okay, and then bring the arms down and stretch to the fingertips. All right, so we're going to get going with some standing poses, which really are the bedrock of Iyengar Yoga. When you're beginning, you work a lot with the legs, because the work in the legs helps the trunk. So we're going to start with half Uttanasana, half forward bend. So I've got a folding chair here. You don't need a folding chair. And some of you don't need the chair because I'm going to show some modifications with the chair. But if you're doing the half forward bend, you just need something to put the hands on that's round about level with your hips. Okay? So I'm going to put my hands on the top of this chair and step back. So my legs are perpendicular to the floor and my trunk's more or less horizontal. All right? So go ahead and find something where you can do that. And if you're not sure whether your legs are horizontal or not, vertical or not, and if you can see the screen, use the screen and see that your legs are absolutely vertical to the floor. So don't have your legs back like that or under like that. You need to have them exactly in line with the hips, and then the mechanics of the pose will work beautifully. So press the thighs back, and then once you've seen your feet parallel, inner edges of the feet parallel. Hamstring people, turn the heels out a little bit wider because it's a bit more comfortable then on the hamstring. And then lift your head and look forwards towards your hands, trying to keep that upper back deep in. Lift your navel towards your spine and press the tops of those thighs back. Don't have soggy knees. Lift your kneecaps up. All right, and then walk forwards and come up and stand up. I hope you're all doing this with me, by the way. You're not sitting on the sofa watching. Okay, so... Now, we're going to take some leg lifts. Now, normally what we would do with this, in my more intermediate classes, we would take the leg up onto the wall for Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, like that. Okay, so you can go ahead and do the more intermediate level pose if you wish to, but I'm going to show from the perspective of somebody who might need a bit more support. All right, so just watch. I'm going to use the wall behind me for balance, so I'm leaning my buttocks against the wall and I've got my feet away from the wall so that it's an easy lean, and I've got the chair in front of me there. Now, if I was not able to lift the leg up straight and I couldn't use the belt, what I'd do is put my hands under my thigh, lift the thigh and put the foot flat on the chair. And if that was too high because of mobility, I could put the foot on a couple of blocks or a stool or something like that. But I've still got the wall behind me for balance. All right. And then if I was able to, I can stretch the leg forwards like that and get the leg straight. And then maybe I can practice coming away from the wall like that, putting my hands on the wall. Or if I'm not at that stage, I can lean back against the wall. Okay, so you can choose whether to do the version with the foot against the wall and the leg high, or this version with the leg on the chair, or a combination where you bring the leg up independently if you don't need that support, and then you can use a belt on the foot and just be there, balancing on one leg. All right, so that's your choice. So I'm going to stand here while you do yours. Lift your chest up, shoulders rolling back. That top of that left thigh now, really press it back hard, because that muscle, that front thigh muscle, big, it's the biggest muscles in the body there, that has to press back and help to lift the left side of the chest up, lift left side of the trunk up, and to stop that dropping forwards, and therefore misalignment of the pose, misalignment of the anatomy of the body. And you can also do this with the legs, the top leg bent, okay? It's a standing leg that you really need to work on. Okay, so we'll release that down and change legs. So again, those of you that need a bit more stability with the wall, lean back, hold the leg and bring it up. Then you can either use the belt, or if you don't have a belt, just keep the leg there, either bent or straight, but make the standing leg strong. Even if you're leaning against the wall, press that thigh back. You can press your shoulders back like that. You could even take the arms up. You see, there's so many things you can do. The beauty of Iyengar Yoga, it's adaptable for everybody. Or you can come forwards, and those of you that are more intermediate, you can even try catch your foot and do that pose with the hand on the hip. Okay, the more difficult balance pose. All right, and then come down and release. Now, when we do the sideways version of Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, for those with hip problems, if you're using the chair, you need to have the chair slightly angled to the side. So I'm going to show this way so you can see. So normally what we would do is we'd take the leg out to the side like that, okay? But when we're using the chair and when we've got a hip, or we've had a hip operation, we need the leg to be slightly further forwards of that alignment. So it doesn't go out to the side because the rotation in the hip's too difficult. So what you do instead is you stand with the chair diagonally opposite to your hip. Say this is my right leg going out. So instead of taking the leg out here, I take the leg forward slightly. So again, you put your foot on the chair, so it's at an angle, and then you see if you can extend the leg out to the side. So it's slightly forwards like that. So there's no impingement on the hip joint, but you're still getting a slight opening of the groins there. Okay, so that's for those that struggle, that have hip problems. Otherwise, you can take the foot, and I'll show the more intermediate level now. You can take the foot to the top of your chair or to your wall or what have you, and the belt goes around the right foot. You bring the leg up, and then you bring that foot out like that. So it's more to the side. But there you have to work really hard on gripping that right buttock in. Grip the buttock in to open this groin, top of the left thigh pressing back. So choose one of those two options. Those of you that have the leg up already, you can stretch the opposite arm out and lift the chest. Stabilize, lift the spine. Keep the head, chin parallel to the floor or slightly above parallel so that you're not dropping the head forwards. Okay, and then bend the leg, bring the leg down. And then those of you that were using the chair for balance, or the wall for balance, and have the chair method with the foot flat, the leg bent, now you're bringing that leg out to the side, but again, have it diagonally forwards, not out to the side, and then you can extend the leg like that so that the hip joint isn't having to move forward quite so much. It's already in place. And the top of the right thigh is pressing back, and you can try and lean away from the wall or just stay at the wall. The rest of you, the second version, can't really show this way, I'll show this way. And of course there's the other version where you take the leg out like that, okay, and then you balance. Not very well today. But again, that standing leg has to press really strongly back, lift the spine up, lift the chest up. Okay, and then come down and release. Let's repeat that half Uttanasana that we did. So hands on the chair, back again. Extend the trunk, legs vertical. Soft inhalation, soft exhalation. Press the outer hips back. Lift those kneecaps up. And then we'll walk forwards and come up and stand up. All right, now, okay, so we're going to do some standing poses. I'll just check that no one's messaged me. No, okay. We're going to do some standing poses. Again, I'll show with the chair method. And I'm going to put the chair on my right-hand side. Now, if you've got two chairs, I know my mum's got two chairs because she's got one of mine, which is why I've only got one. So, Mum, you can put your one chair on each side of you, okay, with your back to the wall. If you don't have a wall space, any of you, and you want to use the wall, you can go to the back of a sofa. That's another really nice way to do the standing poses. Because what we'll do, I'll put my mat right against the wall to show you. What we'll do is we'll stand with the feet wide for the standing poses. Okay, so they're all going to be, most of them are going to be this wide. The only one that might be a little bit narrower is when we do the turning pose. But for this one, we're taking the feet nice and wide. The heels don't have to be right up against the wall. Have a little gap so you can lean the buttocks back. And then we're going to turn the right leg completely out. Make sure the left toes are turned very slightly in. Now, for hip problems, when you've had a hip replacement, that foot on the leg that you're turning needs to come further forward so that the heel is in line with the toes. Don't have the foot all the way back to the wall because, again, you need to help that hip joint to move in more. And it's more difficult when you've got the leg out to the side like that. So if there's a weakness there, have the foot a little further forwards maybe to help you. And then you're going to go to the chair. This is very good for back problems as well. If you've had a back injury, I had a back injury in the summer and I had to use the chair quite a lot. And it means I can still do the pose, but without aggravating the injured spot. Okay, and you can have the chair as close to you as you like. You can even do this pose, Trikonasana, just stretch the arms along the wall like that and go as far as you can. Okay, go to where you are. And of course, the more intermediate people can come all the way down and grab the ankle. All right, so be ready. I'm going to show this modified version with the foot forwards and the chair. Stretch the arms out. Make sure that the back heel, if you're using the wall, the back heel's just about on the wall and the front foot is away from the wall. If you're in the middle of your mat, the right heel should be in line with the left arch, of course. And then extend your trunk towards your right. Bring your hand down either onto the chair or onto your leg or onto the floor. Keep the chest revolving towards the ceiling. Look down and see that your shoulder, your right shoulder is behind your right leg, not in front. Otherwise, it means your bottom's sticking out. And then those of you that can, bring the top arm up. If that's a problem for you, put the left hand on the hip and roll that left shoulder back. If you can look up, do. But if you've got high blood pressure, turn the head and look down towards the floor. Keep the back of the neck soft. To come out, extend the left arm back. Press into the outer edge of the left foot. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet towards the front. And just walk the legs back together. Some of you will need to take your chair to the other side. And by the way, there's nothing weak about using a chair. Okay, it's not a failure if you have to use props. And those of you that are teachers or trainees, sometimes do these methods to understand how it works for other people. Okay, so left foot back against the wall, right leg away. Again, I've made a diagonal movement with that leg just to help the rotation of the hip. But those of you that are not suffering from anything like that, you can bring the heel in line with the arch of the foot. Raise the arms. Inhale. As you exhale, extend to the left, your left. Bring your fingertips down. The further away the chair is, the more extension you get. So if you want more challenge, move the chair further away. And then again, roll that right shoulder back. Either put the hand on the hip or lift the arm up and extend the arm. Head back. Oh, I hope I don't catch fire because I'm leaning back against the candle right now. And turn the chest towards the ceiling. That would be good for YouTube, wouldn't it? Okay, now press into the outer edge of the right foot. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet and bring the legs back together. Look here, I noticed that. I'm just going to move that candle, sorry Patanjali, back to in front of Guruji. There we are. Okay, so that's the first standing pose. The second standing pose, you can move the chair back if you're using it, but you don't need it for this pose. It's just we'll need it for the next one. We're going to do Virabhadrasana 2. All right, so either use the wall method that I just showed or be in the middle of your mat. And then bring the hands to the center of the chest and take the legs wide. Now, I'm not mirror imaging because sometimes the software changes the image around anyway, so I'm not really sure what's happening. So I'm going to my right, so you go to your right. I'm turning that right leg completely out. Got the left toes turned slightly in. And again, if you're using the wall, if you've got hip problems, bring that foot slightly further forwards diagonally. Now we're bending the right leg. So those of you with the mobility issues, you don't need to bend the leg very far. Just do what you can. You can keep the hands on the hips if you have shoulder issues, all of those kinds of things. But the rest of us, let's see where we can go in the classical pose. So feel that extension across the back of the thighs, extension across the front of the pelvis. The knee should be revolving from inside out, not rolling forwards. And try and sit down in that right buttock without collapsing the inner back leg. So you have to keep pressing the outer edge of that foot into the floor. To come up, extend into the left arm, straighten the right leg, turn the feet to the front. Briefly rest the hands. If you need to change anything, get that ready. We're going to go to the other side. So swing the arms out. Lift and open the chest. Right foot in a little bit, turn the whole of the left leg. So make sure that that heel bone doesn't creep behind the alignment of the inner edge of the foot. If anything, that heel should be slightly further forwards to get better rotation there. Keep this outer right hip gripped in as you bend the left leg. Outer edge of the right foot firm. Extend the arms. You can look along your left arm in warrior pose too, but do have a little check to see, is that knee falling forwards towards the screen, or can you roll from the inner knee to the outer knee to extend the inner thigh and grip the outer thigh. And then inhale, come up, turn the feet, and either walk or jump the legs back together. Stand in Tadasana. Take a few breaths there. All right, so the final standing pose, not the final standing pose, but the final lateral standing pose, Parsvakonasana. We'll go back to the chair method for those that need it. We'll go back to the wall. Again, you can have a slight angle in the legs, but this time, see, can you take the buttocks away from the wall? Don't lean back. Then you bend the leg to wherever you can. So you might not be able to bend the leg very far because of issues with the groin or the hip, but we're going to take the hand down onto the chair now. Okay, so make sure that you can reach. You might want to put the hand on a brick or something. Those of you that are more experienced, of course, you can go into that deep bend and then extend the arm either further onto a chair or onto the floor. If you go to the floor, the top arm can come over. If you're on the chair, it's better to take the top arm straight up. Okay? All right, so either this version or this version. So take that top arm up now. That's it. Reach up as far as you can. Those of you on the floor, you can take the arm all the way over and extend the arm and the side of that trunk. Good. And then reach up with the arm. Inhale, come all the way up. Turn the feet. Walk the legs back together. Some of you need to change the chair to the other side, unless you've got two chairs, or you're using the sofa, in which case you just keep your arms on the edge of the sofa. Legs wide. Turn that left leg completely out, all the way up into the top of the leg. Extend the arms, bend that left leg. Extend the trunk, bring the hand to the chair or bring the hand to the floor. And then top arm up, stretch up as high as you can. Turn the arm, extend the arm over. Reach into the little toe of the right foot and into the little finger of the right hand. And try and separate those 2 points away from each other. Then inhale, raise that arm, come up. Turn the feet and bring the legs back together and be in Tadasana. Okay, those that need the chair for support for a forward bending pose, you can just put your hands on the chair and lean forwards. And those of you that can do full Uttanasana, take the arms up, grab your elbows, lift your elbows towards the ceiling. Exhale, come forwards, Uttanasana. Take a few breaths. See that your legs remain straight. Don't bend the knees. And then lift your kneecaps up. Lift your head and look forwards. Put your hands on your hips. And then inhale, come all the way up and stand up. Okay, let me check what the time is. How are we doing? Okay. So, got a bit of time. We're going to do one more standing pose though, and then we'll come to some seated work. All right, so in this standing pose, we're going to take a forward bend pose called Prasarita Padottanasana. So you might need the chair for this. And in fact, if you say to an intermediate student you're going to use the chair, they often get quite excited because it's slightly easier. I'm going to show from the front where to put the chair. And then you step your feet wide apart. Now again, you can lean your buttocks back into the wall. Don't have your feet against the wall if you're doing that, by the way, because it's not as restful. But when we come forwards, you're going to take the buttocks away from the wall. And then as you go down, you put your hands on the chair and then just lean forwards until you feel the weight is even in the feet, that your legs are vertical, in other words. And then you can be here with your back concave if you've got back issues. Or you can bend further and take the arms forwards and rest the forehead on the chair. Or you can fold the elbows and rest the forehead on the forearms. So either of those two versions. So I'm going to extend my arms forwards and rest the head. If that's painful for the shoulders, you can also put the hands down with the hands on the floor, but still rest the head. So it's more of a restful pose. Very good for headaches, tension, fatigue, where you're recovering from illness and you still want to work the legs, you know, get some action, get some blood flow, but you're still a bit tired. Maybe your nervous system is depleted. So this is a good way to do a strong standing pose like this, so that you can stay. And we do stay in this pose for up to 5 minutes. I'm not going to suggest we stay in this pose for 5 minutes today, however. Okay, and then we'll climb up. So go back to concave position, walk the feet in towards each other, and stand in Tadasana. Good. All right, so we can put the chair away unless you need it for seated work. Yes. I'm just thinking, no, okay, I won't complicate things. Now, if you have got something like a blanket or a foam block, that would be quite handy. If you've got a belt, that would be handy too. If you don't have these things, but you have a cushion or a big heavy book, or even a small stool if you've got lower back issues and you need to sit up high, then go and grab that now, because we're going to do some seated work. But I will be showing you something with a bolster or a blanket later. So just get some things around you, maybe a belt or a towel or something like that. So I'm going to get those things around me, and I'm going to fold my blanket and sit on it for the pose we call Dandasana. So if you sit on that lift, and if I go to the side there, so you can see me sideways on. So I'm using the lift in order to move the top of the sacrum forwards. If I sit on the floor, this is how my back used to look when I first started doing yoga. Okay, the effort to lift up, my legs were off the floor because my hamstrings were tight. So the effort to lift up was so great that it was almost impossible. So with the use of props, I was able to gradually change the shape and improve my poses and keep coming back to yoga. Otherwise, I think I might have given up. But this lift just helps to move the top of the sacrum forwards to enable me to lift the front of the body up. Of course, I have to work the legs, I have to extend the legs, open the hamstrings, all of that business. If you have very tight hamstrings or problems in your lower back, then take the feet about hip width apart. Don't have them all the way together. Then you get a better spread on the back groins, backs of the thighs. If you are on a very high lift, you might need to have a rolled blanket underneath your knees so that they don't feel the strain there. Okay, and then we'll bring the hands down beside us. So lift up nice and tall. If you don't need a lift under your buttocks, don't take one. If you're able to sit very nicely, then just sit on the floor. This is meant to be a guided practice, but I am giving more instruction because of the fact that I don't know exactly who's coming. So when you look at your feet, you might notice that one foot turns slightly. So that could be a hip, or it could be the lower back, or it could just be the habit, you know, the way that you walk in your shoes. So keep both feet extending away, the inner edges of the feet vertical. Look at your toes. Ideally, you do yoga with your bare feet so you can see the skin, see the colour of the feet. And spread the toes, also to do with sensitivity, so you can feel the feet on the floor. Try and get space between all of the toes and see that the front of the foot is equally aligned on each foot. My right foot tends to like to roll out, so I've got to keep focusing on rolling that inner edge of that foot forwards. Now we're going to take the arms forwards and up. So let's take the arms forwards first, have the palms facing each other, stretch the fingers, and then go all the way up. And notice that the lower back tends to drop down because of the stiffness in the shoulders. So stretch the arms more to lift the back up. Try and move the arms a little further back. Don't push the head forwards. Feel how the legs start to tighten and grip. And then release the arms down. Now we're going to do the same action again, but we're going to add a twist. All right, so bring the arms forwards and up. Now with the right arm, go behind your hips and bring the left hand across to catch the outer edge of your right thigh. So you're in Parshva, which means sideways, Parshva Dandasana. Turn the abdomen, turn the chest, turn the shoulders, turn the face, but don't turn your eyeballs too much. You can't twist with your eyes. You've got to twist internally and get that lift. And then come back to the front, and we'll go the other way, so I'll have my back to you in a second. So take the arms up again, lift up, think about the height of the right arm, and then swing the left arm behind you and the right arm across. Hold on to that left thigh. Watch what happens to the other leg. It will probably roll out a little bit. So turn more. Roll the chest around towards the left. Try not to let the back slump. And then come back to face the front. And look forwards. Shall we do that once more? Raise the arms up. Those of you that want to try, hook the thumbs and go up even more. Really lift, really lift. Turn, turn, turn. Swing the arms out. See if you can walk that right hand around a little more. Roll that right shoulder back. Think of turning your belly. Turn your navel. Keep the sternum bone lifting up. Don't drop the chest when you turn. The back it's much better for the body if you get that upward lift. I always think about a corkscrew, and it's always nice when you pull the cork out. So think about a corkscrew pulling up rather than pushing down. Okay, and then come back to the center. Again, hook the thumbs, raise the arms up, lift up as high as you can, turn, swing the arms, catch the outer edge of the left thigh, legs firm, body lifting, sternum bone lifting, and then come back to the center and relax the legs. So, Dandasana is a very, very intense pose, but, to master that pose, to get comfortable in that pose, takes a tremendous amount of control and effort and understanding of the pose. It's not just sitting on the floor and stretching the arms out. You have to really engage the lower back, pelvis, legs, everything. It's a fantastic pose. Okay, so we're going to use that same awareness for Upavishta Konasana. So Upavishta Konasana means the wide angle pose. Kona means angle, and Upavishta is wide. So from Dandasana, I should do it properly. From Dandasana, we take the legs out wide. Okay, I'm still sitting on my blanket, but I've kind of slid off it a bit so that it tilts the top of my pelvis forwards. Because of my lower back, it's quite a short lower back that I've got. So I benefit from having a lift, definitely. If you're longer and more flexible, if you have a lift, it will push you too much onto the front. So you've got to understand your own body, your own posture, your own alignment, in order to use the props. And that can often come from having a teacher guide you, but also from your own sensitivity. So, what you want to see is that your heel bones are level. I can see that my right heel is slightly forwards on my left. So I'm going to encourage that heel to come out a little further. If you're less flexible, if you've got those hip issues, of course the legs can be much narrower. Don't go to the point where you get cramp. Come in a little bit so that the muscles can grip without you getting that cramp. And then see that the thigh, the center of the knee, the shin bone, the ankle, the middle toe are all in one line. So you haven't got your feet flopping out or flopping in. Hands beside you, sit nice and tall. Roll your shoulders back. Just stay there for a moment or two. This is a fantastic pose just to sit and be. It's not a pose to rush. And if you have the sofa behind you, you can sit with your buttocks, your sacrum against the sofa, and you can have your elbows on the sofa seat, or even hold underneath. And that's a really good way to get that lift of the chest. And just to sit, you can sit and watch TV or watch the cats playing. anything to stay in the pose, but try to stay with a quietness of mind, with a poise, rather than looking around or fiddling about. Just see if you can find a moment of quietness in this pose, even though it is an upright trunk, extended legs, there's a lot going on, but inside, is there a quietness? Okay, so we're going to take the same kind of action with the Pajva, with the rotation there, with the twist. So let's take the arms forwards again. If you have a belt and you need to use a belt because you're struggling there with the arm lifts, if you can make a loop in your belt, this is a good way to use the belt as well when the shoulders are very stiff. Not for injuries, but when there's a stiffness there, you can put the belt like that around your wrist bones and push out into it. And even if you can't raise the arms up, you can at least push out and get some action, get some grip in the shoulders, or bring the arms all the way up. And it's really quite nice actually to do that. I like it because I can feel my stiff shoulder. I have quite a stiff body naturally. I can feel that stiffness is eased somewhat with having a bit of resistance for the wrists. And then you turn. So if you're not using the belt, you've got your arms up, you're turning. Turn from the waist, from the lower abdomen, from the trunk. And then bring your right hand behind you. I'm mirroring you now, so go to your right. Bring your right hand behind you. Bring your left hand across. If it won't come across, there's stuff in the way, or you haven't got that rotation, just bring the hand in front of you and turn. In your mind's eye, keep an eye on your left leg and foot. Don't let the foot drop. Keep the thigh pressing down on the left leg, a bit like the back leg in standing poses. You have to maintain the strength in that back leg and turn. See if the center line of your chest will turn more over the center of the right leg. And then come back to the center. Fingertips beside you, sit tall. And then once again, bring the arms forwards, bring the arms up, lift up. Feel as if you're holding a box or a brick and you're presenting it to the ceiling. So don't just flop the arms up and have them hanging there in midair. You've got to extend through and lift and turn. And then swing the left arm, behind you, left hand behind you, right arm across and turn. Or bring the right hand in front if it won't go across the thigh and turn. You can look over your left shoulder, but try and get the left shoulder to rotate further away from the gaze of the eyes. Don't have it rolling forwards. Okay, and then come back to the front. So when we release out of this pose, you've got to watch your knees. Be careful when you bend your knees. So hold in the back of the knee, so you soften the knee ligaments and just bring the legs in and come to a very loose Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet together. You can hold onto your shin bones and just hold and lift and pull up. If you're more flexible, bring the feet right in. But if you're a little bit stiffer in the hips, you might find your knees are up like this, in which case just put your feet flat to the floor and hold onto your knees that way. If you can open the feet, the soles of the feet, bring the feet closer in and hold onto the ankles, then do that. Otherwise, bring the feet flat to the floor and squeeze the legs towards your chest. Okay, so we'll stretch out the legs again. Now, I'm just checking the time, because I do tend to overrun at times. So we're going to take a little twist called Marichasana 1, but I'm going to show with quite a lot of lift for those that can't manage, and you can choose whether to use that lift or not. So I'll show from the side. I'm putting a blanket on top of a block, and then I'm going to take a brick behind me, because once I sit up high I won't be able to get my hand down. So I'm going to sit on that lift. And we're going to bend the left leg first. Now those with the lower back problems, or if you have a mobility issue, you can bring the straight leg out to the side. Again, that angle is there, like we did in the standing leg lifts. And then we take the right arm behind. If you've got nice long arms, you might be able to reach the floor. Otherwise, put your hand on a brick. And then the left elbow, you bend inside that left knee. That's Marichasana, which you're probably all familiar with. Okay, so let's do that together now. Get your lift, get seated upright, bend your left leg, bring that shin bone as close in into the buttock as you can, move the right leg a little further to the right, sit tall, take the right arm behind, and then the left elbow inside the left knee and turn. So think of squeezing the abdomen around as if someone's grabbed your belly, your Christmas belly, and turning it around towards the right. Roll that outer right thigh in and lift your sternum bone, lift your chest, and then look over your right shoulder. Try not to lean back on that back arm, so push the, almost like the arm is like a rod for your back, and it's keeping you moving forwards. So the back body moves towards the front body. And then come back to the front, bring the legs back together in Dandasana, and then change sides. So you've got your right leg to bend, bring that heel in, lift your chest, move the left leg out to the side a little bit, take the left hand behind, and then bend your right elbow and turn towards the left. So press the right heel down, don't let the knee drop to the side. Look over your left shoulder, rotate, turn, and then come back to the center, stretch out the legs and release. All right. So I'm going to show you now a modification of a pose. Those of you that know chair back arch, you know who you are. That's what you're going to do next, chair back arch. Now the rest of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you've got a bolster, you can use a bolster for this. If you've got a blanket, you can use a blanket, and you make a roll with your blanket. So I'm going to show you a very, very simple back arch. It's very nice to do on the floor. So you make a roll like this. Now this is quite a thin blanket, so it's a very thin roll. So it's better to roll, if you've got a thin one, from the shorter edge, so you get a thicker shape like that. So it's quite a thick sausage shape. It's not going to be very big. If you've got one of those Pilates foam rollers, you know, they're quite big ones, they're quite good for this as well, but you'll need to have space behind for your head, all right? And then if you've got neck issues, or you're a bit nervous about arching your upper back, or you've got arthritis, put something behind for the head. Okay, it could be as high as that, or it could be a foam block or a cushion from the sofa, or the cat, if they're amenable to that. I don't do that with my cat because she'll bite my head. She's from Portugal. Okay, so we lean back over that roll. Now, if you notice, I've got my upper back, so it's underneath the breast area, bra line, sternum bone area, and I'm leaning onto that roll, and just for a moment there, I lift my chest and I tuck my shoulders under like that a couple of times, and then I can stretch my legs out. I can either have my arms like this, or if I'm comfortable, I can stretch the arms up, fold the elbows, and extend the arms over. And it's a gentle but effective back opener, upper back, chest opener. Very good for the lungs and the heart, very good for depression, anxiety, more depression than anxiety, but very good for just shifting the mood. And also good for, a gentle mobilizing of the upper back. And then, of course, you can take the block away and just have the head resting. So I'm going to be here while you do yours, and those that are in the chair, you could just be there and you're doing your chair back arch. You can experiment with the height under your back chest. You can use a bolster instead. You can use a brick, those of you that know how to use the brick method. But I'm just showing this for those that don't necessarily have all those props or want to do a more gentler version. It's absolutely fine for lower back problems because it actually creates space in the lower back, but you have to get the roll in the right place, of course. So make sure that that roll is, if you trace a line from your armpit, it's just literally at the bottom of the armpit chest area. There's the bottom of my armpit, there's the blanket roll. Okay, don't have it lower than that, otherwise your lower back will not like it. A bit like taking the wrong medicine. If you take the wrong dosage, it doesn't work, or it even aggravates. And if you've got your elbows folded, you can change the cross of the elbows. I've put this in them because this is one of my mum's favourites. But it's also a really good pose in this sequence. Okay, and then we're going to bring the arms back and we'll bend the elbows. When you come up, don't sit up, roll to the side, and look at the floor as you come up and sit up. Those in the chair, bend the knees, arc the back, sit up, and then come out of your chair. Okay. All right. So, one more lying down pose before we do our final pose, which is Shavasana. Now, if you've got neck problems, you might want to keep the blanket there for the head. You're going to need a belt. If you don't have a belt, I've got an option for you as well, but try and have a belt handy if you've got one. We're going to do Supta Padangusthasana 1 and 2. So when you lie down, sit in the center of your mat with your legs bent, put your hands on the floor. Don't do one of these tummy tucks. Roll the spine down carefully. Watch to see that you lie in a straight line, and then have your head on the blanket if you're using it. Tuck the buttock flesh towards the backs of the thighs, tuck the shoulder blades towards the waist, and then extend your legs out and push your heels away. Legs can be slightly apart if you've got your period, if you've got lower back problems, or you're a bit stiffer. Then we take the belt. Now, I'll show the belt version first. So most of you know this. Well, first of all, we can bend that knee, and all of us can catch either around the front of the knee, or if you've got knee problems, around the back of the knee like that. Okay, that's much better for those with the knee problems, because then there's no pain in the knee. All right, and then you can either keep your hands behind the back of the knee, back of the thigh, and stretch the leg up without the belt if you don't have a belt, or put the belt around the foot and extend the leg up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulders down. Hands should be apart, by the way, if you're using the belt. Don't hold like this, but have one bit of belt in each hand. Draw the elbows down, shoulders down. Stretch that leg up. The down leg has to be firm towards the floor. Extend the back of the heel away. Keep the eyes soft. Face soft. Breath quiet. Now, this is a cheat for those that find it difficult to catch the belt around the foot. What you do is you bend the bottom leg and you bring that leg up into the belt, like so. And then you bend the other leg, stretch that leg away, and you've changed sides. Okay, we didn't do the bending of the knee bit, but that's okay. All right, and obviously, if you're not able to catch with the belt, you're going to be holding the other leg like this, with the hands around the back of the thigh. You can also do this against the wall. If you've got a doorway or a hallway, you can put this leg through the door gap, not through the door, don't kick the door down, but through the gap, and then this leg rests on the door jamb. That's another way you can use your space. Okay, so let's do that again. So bring the right leg up and join. So if you're holding the legs, hold both legs like that, and then you bring the left leg down, keep the right leg up. And then change again, left leg up, right leg down. Okay, and then bring the right leg up once again, but this time bend the knees and catch around both knees, or catch behind both knees if that's easier for you. And now bring the feet to the floor. And either keep the feet on the floor for Jatara Paravatasana. So I haven't left myself enough room, but ideally the arms will extend out to the sides like this, level with the shoulders. And then you bring your knees off towards the right, but keep your left ribs, left shoulder down on the floor, and then bring your legs up. If you're able to, you bring the knees up, heels slightly flexed, and bring the knees off to the right that way, without letting the knees touch the floor, knees and feet together. Inhale, come up. Exhale, go to the left. So if you watch my right ribs, I'm not doing that, okay? I'm not lifting the shoulder up. So you keep that arm extended. I haven't left enough room for my left arm, but you can imagine that one's extending as well. So the right ribs have to try and descend towards the floor, even though they're lifting slightly, so that I control the movement from the abdomen. So it's an abdominal twist. And then come up and do that once again each side. So either with the feet on the floor, this modified version, and up, and off to the left. Stretch. When you go to the left with the knees, you've got to stretch more on the opposite side arm, and then come up. And then once more, just hold the back of the right knee towards you, and then hold the back of the left knee towards you. Now we're going to do Shavasana. So with Shavasana, you need to have a clear space. So I'm going to roll to my side and make sure I've got room for my arms. Make sure that you're warm enough as well. Because when you lie down, of course, the body temperature drops. So you need to be warm enough, otherwise the nervous system won't rest. If you need to have something behind the backs of the knees, you can put a roll blanket or a bolster behind the backs of the knees, or even have your legs on the chair. So I'm going to show with the chair. And this is for those with the back issues. Sometimes you need to have something underneath the backs of the legs. Because taking the legs out straight doesn't quite work. So either the legs are straight, or you can have the lower leg on the chair, thighs dropping down, shoulders tucking under, release the arms out to the sides. Take a few releasing breaths. Close the eyes from top to bottom. Relax all the muscles of the face. Feel that softness descending through the entire body. So heavily release the trunk, release the arms, the wrists, the fingers. There's no movement. So when we say release the arms, the legs, the fingers, the toes, we don't tend to wriggle around. We just let the body rest and descend. Shavasana is interpreted as corpse pose, but I like to think of it more as the symbolic surrender of the physical body, and therefore there's no movement except with the breath. So learn to let go everywhere, entirely surrendering your body. If your mind gets distracted, try to draw it inwards towards the physical sensation of lying on the floor first, feeling the floor beneath your body, until you feel the sensation of a relaxed body, relaxed muscles, joints, ligaments, flesh, bones, even the spaces where the organs are resting. And then take your mind towards the breath. Guruji said that the breath is the king of the mind, meaning that it's one of the tools in which we can control our thoughts and quieten the mind. And the reason we would control the thoughts and quieten the mind is to have some peace, some quiet. And feel the lower back spreading towards the floor, the nervous system softening, releasing, and let go. Observe the silence within. And then after your next exhalation, take your hands across your abdomen, a place where you feel comfort, and quietly bend your knees towards you. Don't open the eyes yet. Roll to your side, your right side preferably, if you have space, and just let your left hand come down to the floor underneath your right temple, like a pillow. And then press your left hand down, and coming up from the side, sit up. And we'll just sit for a moment in Swastikasana and bring the palms together in front of the chest. And then bring the head down, release the hands and open the eyes. So thank you very much everyone for joining me today, and thank you so much for all the donations. We've absolutely smashed my target. I think we've raised about nearly £600 already for Age UK. There is a link in the description below if you'd like to donate. The donations are open till the end of the month. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. See you again soon. Lots of love. Thank you.